Agentic AI has become the most discussed technology in boardrooms this year, and for good reason. For the first time, we're not just talking about AI that assists humans, we're talking about AI that makes decisions autonomously, at scale, and without waiting for human approval at every step. This creates an entirely new governance challenge. When AI can make millions of decisions per second instead of hundreds per day, when it can operate continuously rather than within business hours, and when it can coordinate complex workflows without human orchestration, boards need to ask a question they've never faced before. Where should we consciously transfer decision-making authority from people to machines? That's not a technical question, it's a strategic one. Most discussions about agentic AI focus on the technology, the models, the architectures, the capabilities, but that's the wrong starting point. The technology is impressive, but it's not the constraint. The constraint is understanding what you're actually delegating and having frameworks to govern that delegation appropriately. So today I wanted to give you a way to think about agentic AI in the context of the transfer of agency from humans to agentic AI. We'll look at how work patterns evolve as you progressively delegate decision-making to AI, examine where autonomous operation creates genuine advantage, and establish the governance mechanisms that make this delegation safe rather than reckless. Organizations that succeed with agentic AI won't be those with the most sophisticated technology. They'll be those who make conscious, systematic choices about where to transfer agency and where to retain human judgment. Before we explore agentic AI, let's establish a framework for understanding how work gets done. Any work, whether it's by humans, AI, or a combination of both. There are 8 fundamental components that define how decisions are made and work is executed. The first component is knowledge. This represents the foundational expertise and reasoning capability, what you know and how you think about problems. Then we have perception. Perception is about gathering and understanding information, how you sense what's happening in your environment. Then we have planning, which involves breaking down objectives into actionable steps. It's how you decide what to do and in what order. And then, of course, you take action. This is the actual execution, how you make things happen through tools and systems. Memory captures what you've learned and can recall, how you build on past experience rather than starting afresh each time. Adaptation represents continuous improvement, how you refine your approach based on what tools and what works and what doesn't. Orchestration is about coordination across multiple activities or actors, how you manage complexity when many things need to happen simultaneously. And finally, governance ensures appropriate oversight and control, how you maintain safety, compliance, and alignment with organizational values. So these 8 components exist in every work pattern. What changes across the components, of course, is who or what performs each component. And that's what determines where you're transferring decision-making authority and agency. Let's see how. So let's start with stage 1, human-centered work. This is how your organization has operated for decades, humans performing all 8 components without AI involvement. So, from a knowledge perspective, human cognition and domain expertise drive everything. Your people apply rules of thumb and standard operating procedures they've developed over years. In perception, humans do critical reading, manual data gathering, stakeholder interviews, building situational awareness through direct engagement. In planning, your teams decompose goals using checklists, mental models, and heuristics developed through experience. In the action component, people execute manually in applications, maybe using email, ERP systems, Excel spreadsheets, clicking and typing to make things happen. Memory is something that lives in working memory of the humans, but also in notebooks and shared drives and corporate knowledge bases and wikis. It's institutional memory distributed across people and documents. Adaptation is learning that happens through after-action reviews, mentoring, training updates, human-driven improvement cycles. Orchestration is where project managers coordinate people and teams through meetings and mutual coordination. And in governance, oversight happens through policies, checklists, peer review, manager sign-off, and traditional compliance and audit processes. This is the baseline. Every component here depends entirely on human capability and activity. So what happens when we introduce AI? In stage 2, we introduce AI as an on-demand assistant. This is where most organizations find themselves right now with ChatGPT and Claude and similar tools. Notice we're using here AI model rather than just large language model. This is because it includes various types of model, including large language models, but also smaller specialized models, vision capable models, and domain specific models. There are many different types of language models and AI models available. But notice here, humans are still controlling all decision making. So from a knowledge perspective, the AI model acts as a co-pilot for ideas and drafts, but humans retain all judgment about what's valuable and what to do next. In perception, humans curate inputs, and the AI model summarizes or extracts information. Light copy paste from sources and that sort of thing. You're still deciding what information matters. In planning, humans outline the approach, the AI model suggests steps or options, but humans choose every next move. You're asking for suggestions, not delegating the decision. In action, the AI model drafts text or code, but humans run commands and execute changes. Nothing happens without your explicit action. And in memory, these chat sessions are exactly that, just chat session context. It's ephemeral. Sometimes there's some memory involved depending on which tool you use. But when the conversation ends, the AI forgets everything unless you take notes to preserve it. In adaptation, humans adjust prompts and approach based on what works. The learning is yours, not the system's. And in orchestration, there is no programmatic orchestration. You're manually coordinating between tools and the AI model. You're doing all the integration work. And finally, in governance, the human oversight with organizational policies and AI model safety filters, you create the manual audit trail through your actions. So this stage is useful but limited. You get AI assistance without delegation, which means you're still the bottleneck for iteration and scale. So let's see what happens and what changes when humans drive a loop. In stage 3, the human in the loop is where sophisticated AI use emerges. AI models get invoked repeatedly, but humans remain in the constructor's seat, setting objectives, evaluating results, and deciding what happens next. In the knowledge component, AI models are invoked repeatedly with templated prompts, but humans set objectives and success criteria. You're orchestrating multiple AI interactions deliberately. In the planning component, the AI model proposes plans and even critiques its own suggestions, but humans review, revise, and accept each iteration. You're delegating proposal generation whilst retaining approval authority. In the perception component, human and AI model parse documents and feed together through structured ingestion and light retrieval augmented generation. But with human approval at key points, you're building shared understanding. In the action component, semi-automated workflows emerge. The AI model and tool calls with user approval. Humans execute irreversible steps, and you're delegating routine actions whilst maintaining control over consequential ones. In the memory component, short-term session memory plus retrieval over curated knowledge bases is the order of the day. Case logs build institutional memory, but you're managing what gets remembered. In the adaptation component, human feedback loops drive prompt and policy tuning. With occasional offline fine-tuning, you're teaching the system that what works through your corrections. In the orchestration component, the human is the conductor, orchestrating AI models and tools with possible multimodal patterns, but you maintain gates between components. You're designing the workflow. And finally, in the governance component, review and approval gates, logging, restricted permissions, escalating criteria, and playbooks are human in the loop. You've built structured oversight into the process. So this is iterative AI. It's powerful, but it's governed. But when you're still running the loop, which means your time and expertise remain the constraint at scale, that brings us to mode 4, where the fundamental shift occurs. Mode 4 is Agentic AI, where the machine runs the improvement loop itself. This is the delegation of the entire decision-making cycle, not just individual tasks. Look at what changes across all 8 components. Knowledge, one or more AI models are selected automatically. The human isn't selecting the model anymore. And this is where the diversity matters. The system might choose a large language model for reasoning, a smaller specialized model for specific tasks, or a vision-capable model for image analysis. all selected automatically with role-specialized models chosen where needed. The system drives reasoning without waiting for human direction about which AI to use or how to use it. In the perception component, event-driven ingestion from APIs, databases, sensors in factories builds retrieval-augmented context autonomously. The system decides what information it needs and fetches it. In the planning component, autonomous planning using chain of thought and tree of thought reasoning with self-reflection and dynamic planning against goals. The system is asking itself, is this good enough? And adjusting without you, without checking back. In the action component, we see Agentic AI take direct API and tool execution, creating transactions, raising tickets, scheduling activities, all under scope permissions, but without human approval for each action. The system is making things happen. In the memory component, short-term scratch pads plus long-term vector databases and memories from CRM systems and other tools are the order of the day. Episodic task history persists across runs, and the system remembers what it learned and applies it to future work. In the adaptation component, augmented evaluation and feedback loops drive policy updates. A/B testing and offline model updates are all governed but machine-driven. The system is improving itself based on outcomes. In the orchestration component, multi-agent roles exist. Planners, executors, critics, many agents in a network of agents coordinating through message buses in a parallel manner and handing off to each other without human involvement. The system is managing its own internal coordination. And in the governance component, policy engines, risk tiers, approval thresholds, simulators and sandboxes, immutable audit logs, kill switches with human intervention reserved for escalations. You've built the guardrails, but the system operates within them autonomously. Here's the critical insight for boards. Agentic AI isn't magic, and it's not fundamentally new intelligence. Look across this table. Stage 1, humans are the loop. In stage 2, humans are the loop with AI assistance. In stage 3, AI runs the loop, but humans maintain oversight and decision-making authority. But in stage 4, the machine runs the loop autonomously. The strategic question for your board isn't whether agentic AI is impressive, it demonstrably is. The question is where delegating these 8 components creates advantage for your organization versus where human judgment in the loop remains essential. Where does scale outweigh expertise? Where do you have high volume commodity work that benefits from continuous automation operation? Where are the irreversible decisions that require human accountability? That's the delegation choice Agentic AI forces you to make consciously. And these 8 components give you the framework to make it systematically. Thanks for listening. If you'd like to read more, check out my article, Agentic AI, Strip Away the Hype and Understand the Real Strategic Choice, which was published to my blog at mariothomas.com. Thanks for listening.